Maneva na say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Abusianfo eye nkomotwetwe bi akoso ewo Alhaji and Alhaji Nyumadi so Radio Good and Pan African TV so ene na owura Kwasi Pratt Junior eden sembi atoto dwa na mitie ensam no won se minsu se mewre nhu se menye de I don't know say minya mixed feelings am say di oman baby eko yi ti nkrofa ye de ani ato omo so no ebe ye yi o metumi aboa ye na age ye na afiri san nkrofo nsem ana Kwasi Pratt kan se mi na abusiafo mesrew sa video me so se share ma afoforo so no muntimi hwe bi no muntie NDC fo mpanyifo wo so mutie bi enkomo bi se na ani kwan se eka e wo so amanfo timi tie enkomo no very necessary to mesrew ya like video no my like e boa my kwachiri some of these conversations I was say NDC fo amani ku no mutie de ekoso go enyoma esisi wo kromu a ya nhwe yi akro no ebe dwira gu yenso ebe seye o nyoma ekoso ehu abusuafo mam ye mfa bibi ni agro ni ekoso ade bia ne ye de chese ye ka no fala ase mumma yenhwe bibi abusuafo mumma yenhwe bibi yi ya nhwe yi abusuafo se ya nhwe yi oman no ebe gi afiri like ebe gu and we will suffer to bring it back. Mama ye mahukwan ma enkrofo some selfish people be. MSL man ma you. Kwasi Pratt akasa ene. Na ne nsam a waka fa enyoma omampini Akuffo Addo ne MPP aban ayetia oman Ghana. Institutions o ma say no enyoma plans o ma fa. Di o ma ye any busan for me pese me say manuma to me pese wan kase ye ko na udi nyabre yes video no wakakra bad message nyabre na tie mu yie unya ho a oso fa video no to other platforms so na manfo nhwe bi no muntie ebra so say ye nyina ye boa pushi abo ebe ya oso trobi Facebook YouTube ehfa can be your video your audios ye can be abusan for me mfa ni agro no man no che say akaton ne bro I'm telling you aha PENDREAM TV message so subscribe to the channel patch subscribe to the channel for me na bomb modern so be like video we said be to me akwa chira ma foforo so answer to me aka bi ahwe message so wo adwenchire bia wo hwe nyina na wo comment e wo video no ase ane comment wo video na ase wo so chira wa adwene yenko eye Pan African TV so ni Radio Gold so Alhaji and Alhaji Nyumadi na eye Sena Numbo eye host ene ne yenkotie nkomo a ekoso obra na yewura Kwasi Pratt Junior kasa yenko ne yenkotie mra
by the minority in parliament, and the allegation simply said that the New Patriotic Party was assigning 30 places in some of the security services for their MPs, their parliamentary candidates. Now, since then, there have been at least 3 or 4 reactions to the allegations. Now, all of the reactions contradict each other. And therefore, we can only come to the conclusion that somebody must be lying, and must be lying big time. The first reaction which came from government was that the allegation was not true, that no allocations have been made to MPP parliamentary candidates. That was the first reaction. Then there was another reaction who said, oh, we are only doing this to clear the backlog. Okay. And then there was a third reaction. We said, yes, we've made allocations, but even some of the minority members of parliament and others have benefited from it. Okay. Then there was another reaction which says that, look, we are only being fair to all the people who had applied earlier to join the security service, and that is in sync with the second reaction, you understand? Now let us examine these reactions. You cannot say the allegation is not true and still claim that you even made allocations to some opposition elements. As if the allegation is not true, it means that no allocations have been made. But to say that some opposition elements have also benefited from the allocations is to confirm the allegation. Now, the issue of backlog and so on is absolutely ridiculous. Okay? And it's ridiculous to the extent that there are qualifications for enlistment into the security services. And for one of our callers, of our texters, has actually explained that. One of the qualifications for enlistment is age. So if there's a backlog scanning a period of 8 years, it means that those people who initially applied 8 years ago are not qualified to join the security services. And that's a huge, problem. So that backlog argument simply collapses. Now, why are we concerned about the allegation that the government is recruiting its own people into the security services? Why are we concerned? Why should there be a concern? One, over the years, it has been established that some of the persons who have entered the security services have entered the security services mainly as a means of securing some advantages to commit crime. Criminal dens are being established within the security services, and that is a matter of worry. One, I recall, for example, that in one of the international conferences we organized in Accra, some policemen and some state protocol personnel actually used state protocol vehicles assigned to visiting dignitaries to commit armed robbery. I hope you remember this.
Yes, recently.
Okay. Now, when the matter was investigated, it turned out that those police officers were what was then referred to as party police. Persons who had been recruited because they were members of political parties. And this, I remember this vividly. Then there was another case which gained public attention of a gang of thieves, robbers, who had actually managed to enter the police training academy, had been trained in weapons handling and so on, and their main purpose was to establish gangs, to rob citizens and so on. Okay. Now, if you have security services within which gangs of robbers establish themselves and so on, it defeats, first and foremost, the purpose of establishing those agencies and puts citizens at risk. This is dangerous. Now, the other thing, too, is that today, if you contact people in all the security services, allegiance to political groups, political parties, and so on, it's open in the security establishments. So, for example, if you go into the armed forces, the soldiers themselves know who is NPP, who is NDC, and so on. This polarization of the security services is dangerous for the maintenance of national security. You understand? If you have a security service in which people know who is affiliated to what party and so on, and they discuss that openly and so on, it is exceedingly frightening. Because it can lead to the collapse of these security services. And in cases of national emergency, it becomes absolutely difficult to mobilize the security forces as single units with a clear purpose of saving the nation. It is dangerous, should not be encouraged. It is not healthy, for us. Now, this discussion is important for many reasons. Okay, many reasons. And Sana, one of the things that worries me very deeply is the fact that over the last couple of years, we've also come to see cases of persons being recruited in the security services who are not qualified. Only recently, something made the rounds, and I'm sure that all of you are clearly aware of it, about persons who have been recruited into the military, whose age appear to be way above the limit. Now that brings into question why there's an age criteria. And I would think that there's an age criteria simply because all of us, our bodies, our organs and so on, cannot function at the same level as we grow older. And for example, if you're in the police service, you need a certain level of agility to be able to perform the function of arrest and so on, restraining people and so on. So if you are recruiting persons who are unfit to be in the security services, it means that when armed robbers strike and you call the police, the persons who will be given the responsibility to protect you would physically be unable to do so. Because the age has been varied, because their physical fitness has not been taken into consideration, and so many things. It simply means that we are recruiting people into the services who cannot perform their duties. Now, just ponder over the fact that we are recruiting persons into the fire service who may not be qualified. Just think about a fire outbreak anywhere. You understand? And the people who are being dispatched to quench the fire are mentally, physically disabled to carry out that duty. What would happen to our country? Just imagine that as we sit here and there's intelligence reports to support that, we are under the threat of terrorist attacks and invasion. Just imagine that the people who will be trained to combat terrorism are physically incapable, are mentally incapable, and academically incapable. What would happen to our country? This is the worry. This is why there's so much talk about this recruitment, you understand? Now, apart from these things about incapacity to perform duties which would be assigned to them and so on, there's also the issue of the complete bastardization of national politics. And on this program, we have received messages from those who are listening to us, which are exceedingly worrying. There's one guy who sent a message to us just this morning on this platform. He says, look, I support the NPP for helping their members, and I'm disgusted with the NDC for not helping their members. What is he saying? He's saying that citizens don't have the same right to employment. That's what he's saying. And he wants to have a situation where Ghanaian citizens are not equal. That citizens who join political parties have more privileges than citizens who do not join political parties. And this is clearly an affront to the 1992 Constitution. This is clearly an affront to all norms of decency. You understand? Why should we build a society in which those who elect to join the NDC or the NPP have special, what do I say? They are special privileges as against those who want to be regular citizens, who want to pay their taxes, who want to work for improving the society and so on, without allegiance to political formations. This is frightening. It is really, really, really frightening. Is this the kind of society we want to build? Now, there's something else which is important. If indeed it is true, if indeed it is true, and I have no reason to doubt that it is true, given even the clip that you played on also results and so on, I have no reason to doubt that the allegations are not mere allegations, but they are grounded. Okay. But if these allegations are true, and they are indeed grounded, what does it tell us about the fairness of these security agencies? What does it tell us about fairness of these security agencies? There have been cases of malicious prosecution in our country. Now, how does that happen? You can have cases of malicious prosecution if the agencies responsible for investigation and prosecution are compromised. If they refuse to look at the facts and begin to look at party colors and who has a party card and who doesn't have a party card, you would have many incidents of malicious prosecution. The abuse of the apparatus of the state in order to silence critics. So it is directly linked to the freedom of expression. It is directly linked to the freedom of association. It's directly linked with many of the freedoms which our Constitution guarantees for us. If the security services are this polarized, if the security services are controlled by political parties and so on, it means that we cannot enjoy our fundamental rights. And that must be worrying for everybody, even those in the New Patriotic Party, who today may be thinking that this arrangement gives them advantages. And they must be worried, okay, for many reasons. And one of the reasons simply being that there's no way of guaranteeing that any political party will be in power forever. So if you enjoyed that privilege today, what about tomorrow when you are no longer in power? Would you not become a victim of the abuses that we have claimed that many people have abused? So it doesn't matter what political party you belong to. We have a responsibility to safeguard, our freedoms, the enjoyment of our freedoms, and so on. But there's something which is even more serious, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the most serious indication. My brother, these recruitments cannot be privatized and handled the way they are being handled without collusion from the leadership of the security organizations. No political party can monopolize recruitment into the police service, the armed forces, the fire service, and whatever exists, if there's no collusion with the leadership of the security services. So, right now, as we are discussing these matters, how is this scam being organized? Who in the Ghana Police Service is facilitating the scam? Who in the Ghana Armed Forces has decided that is going to work with a political party or political parties to ensure that only their members are recruited into the armed forces? Who is sitting at the fire service who is facilitating this scam? This is a very important question. And this immediately brings into question the independence of these security services. Not just the independence of these security services, but the loyalty of the officers of the security services. Are they loyal to Ghana, or they are loyal to the New Patriotic Party? And if they are loyal to the New Patriotic Party, how can they perform their function of being defenders of Ghana and not defenders of individuals, political parties, and cliques? This is a major issue. Major issue. You can't run away from it. If this scam is being perpetrated, then it means the heads of the security services have no independence. Then it means the heads of the security forces are colluding with the New Patriotic Party. And if they are colluding with the New Patriotic Party on filling vacancies and so on in the security services, where would that collusion end? We should be worried about the 2024 elections also. Because if heads of the security services are deliberately and to some extent even openly acting for a political party or political parties, what will they do when elections are rigged? Will they facilitate the rigging of elections? Perhaps, if we take a few steps back into history, we may find answers to some of these questions. About 2 years ago, I was invited to a very solemn ceremony to remember the victims of the Ayawaso West Woman mayhem. I was invited as one of the speakers to that solemn ceremony. And so, what I saw was painful. I saw people who would never be able to walk again. Never be able to walk again. I saw people with wounds which would never heal again. I saw people who would never be able to work. At first I spoke about walk, but work again. People who have been disabled for life. Okay? Now, it's important to make reference to the report of the Emil Short Commission. A commission of inquiry which was not established by me, it was not established by the National Democratic Congress, it was established by the sitting president, who was the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party. And indeed, members of the commission included a sitting Supreme Court judge, and so on, appointed also by the sitting president, and so on. And the Electoral Commission made it clear that there were security abuses. You understand? The security services were as it were, used in the perpetrating of these crimes against some of our people. And so on. During the proceedings of the commission, at least there was some evidence to the extent that somebody who was working for national security had been recruited from the Kwame Nkrumah circle. And this person was actually selling phones, second-hand phones, when he was recruited, and he didn't go through any process. Check the report, check the proceedings, and so on. Now, doesn't that frighten you?
It does.
In the last elections, 8 innocent Ghanaians were killed. 8 innocent Ghanaians were killed by persons believed to be in the security services or associated with the security services. It's frightening. Really frightening. It's an attack on the limited democracy that we have today. This democracy we have has many defects and so on. But for whatever it is, I've heard people say that it is still better than another form of government. There's a dispute about that, but I'm not going to go into that dispute. You understand? But this is a major problem for the exercise of the democratic rights of citizens if security services can be so misused. You understand? Now, I've seen some of the footage on the Ewaso West Wogon mayhem, and you see the vehicles which were used launching the attacks on innocent citizens. And those vehicles were obviously security vehicles. And in fact, the attackers came in prescribed uniforms of national security establishments and so on. Okay, I'm deeply worried by this. But you see, more than that, there are many other signs that we are seeing which indicate in the clearest possible terms that all state institutions are being bastardized to the disadvantage of citizens. And I mean no words. In the MPP primaries in Yendi, I saw a video of an EC official publicly admitting that he is an MPP member or sympathizer, and that because of the rules, he's unable to sing MPP party songs. I'm sure all of you saw it.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't frighten you. What will frighten you? EC official publicly admitting. You put that aside. Everybody in Ghana knows, as a fact, that there's an electoral commissioner who is a card-bearing member of the New Patriotic Party. Everybody knows that as a fact. All of us who watch television have seen this gentleman, actually sitting on radio and proclaiming that he will do everything possible to make sure that the NDC does not come to power. And he's a commissioner, electoral commissioner. Should I say more? And we are tolerating that. 6 months to an election, we know there's a card-bearing member of a political party sitting on the Electoral Commission who is swearing that he will do everything possible to make sure that some political party does not come to power. And we are tolerating that. Presidential candidates are going out there campaigning, spending the little resources they have, mobilizing people and so on. You are wasting your time, man. You are wasting your time. If party card-bearing members are commissioners, why are you campaigning? Campaigning to do what? To win what election? The playing field needs to be leveled for all these campaigns to make sense. Because with this kind of situation, it may take a miracle for some parties, some candidates to win elections. So it's not only the security services. Even the Electoral Commission itself is under attack. And there are people who say that, you win elections at the polling station, and that it doesn't matter who are the commissioners, and so on. I think that's a bloody lie. It's a lie which we should not countenance at all. You see the recent or ongoing registration of voters exercise. There have been so many petty errors which should frighten us. So, registration exercise, what is involved in assuring the accuracy of figures? Nothing complicated. You understand? Even 5-year-olds can accomplish that. We register one by one. Not be so. You don't register 20 at a time. One at a time. So you are only adding once. The first person to register is one. If you add the second person to the one, you get two. If you add the third person, you get three. That's how you build up the numbers, adding once. And this very simple exercise led to serious errors. Serious errors. Are you not frightened?
Yeah.
You have an electoral commission which cannot simply add once. Are you not worried? And don't forget that the last election, results were declared 3 times. Some say 4. But let's assume 3 times. Because of what they claimed were errors in addition. And in fact, even the mode of declaring those results were questionable. In one instance, results were corrected by something which had been typed on a piece of paper without signature. And we accepted that those are valid results. So sometimes the problem is not those who perpetrate evil, those who skew things, those who play with our mandate, those who subvert the national constitution. Sometimes the problem is not with them. The problem is with us all who refuse to resist this outrage.
True.
Because if you refuse to resist the outrage, it will be perpetrated against you. And we are not resisting. We are acquiescing. We are accepting the status quo. That's our problem. The minority has made a call for investigations into these allegations. Who is backing those calls? Who is taking steps to make sure that the call is not just contained in a press statement, but becomes a live subject embraced by the population, which together is pushing for some resolution of the matter? That is where we are. We, the citizens, are failing ourselves. We, the citizens, are not taking actions which will compel those in authority to do our will and to do the right things. It's a citizen's failure. We are failing as citizens. We are failing ourselves. We are failing the Constitution, and we are failing our nation. We are not resistant enough. You see, when this issue of appointments to the Electoral Commission came up, I was amazed. What did the NDC do? They wrote nice English on a piece of paper and sent it to the Council of State. And they thought that the Council of State will resolve the matter. You are joking. You are joking. These matters are not resolved that way. They are not resolved by writing beautiful English and submitting to the Council of State. They are not resolved by complaining to the Peace Council. These issues are resolved by mobilizing citizens to say, no, we would not accept this nonsense. That is how you resolve these matters. But some of the leaders in some of the political parties, sometimes you listen to them and you watch them and you begin to ask yourself, what are they up to? Why are they wasting our time? You have a commissioner of the Electoral Commission make a public statement that one particular political party is a danger to the democratic experiment. And he's still sitting there as commissioner, has sat there for more than 2 years. In any other civilized country, the moment he made that statement, the next day he will resign.
Yes.
But in Ghana, you can make this statement and stay there as electoral commissioner, actually participate in organizing the Asin North by-election, participate in organizing the Ejushu election, and ready yourself to organize the 2024 elections, even though you say that one particular political party is a danger. Can you believe this? Can you believe that this is happening in Ghana? We, the citizens, as for us, we have failed ourselves. We are not mobilizing, we are not challenging things and so on. But the political parties are also failing. They are failing themselves and they are failing their followers. All of us are failing. And I feel ashamed that we've come to this level. I really feel ashamed that this is where we are. If they get away with packing the security services, which other institution would they not pack? CROSAC, is that what they're CROSAC? A couple of years ago, made a very interesting allegation. Yes, they are there. Their members are in the public and civil services and so on. They can no longer function because party apparatchiks have been recruited to take over their roles. And CROSAC complained bitterly. What has happened? Nobody bothered with them. Nobody cares about what CROSAC says. The civil service and public service have strict rules for engaging personnel. Those rules have been thrown to the dogs. People are being paid from anywhere and everywhere. Not everywhere, anywhere. And particular places to fill these positions. And there's a danger to us. Can you believe that when Ken Oforiatta presented his last budget, civil servants mobilized to give him a welcome at his ministry. What an aberration. Unbelievable. Civil servants lined up the streets to welcome him because he had presented a budget he did not write, a budget which was authored by the IMF. And all of us know what IMF packages are and their impact on our society. Unbelievable. But you see, if we refuse to speak, if we refuse to protest, we have no right to complain.
Simple.
If we refuse to protest, to speak out and so on, it means that we have accepted what is happening and we should bear the consequences. My brother, we should bear the consequences when we refuse to speak and talk. I heard Mr. Akuffo Addo challenge the Interior Minister to bring proof that people in the minority have also been allocated spaces. So if he brings proof, what? I don't care. Whether people in the minority have also been given places or not, that is not the issue. The issue is that nobody should be given places.
Simple.
And that people should be able to compete on their merits.
Exactly.
For employment into the security services. So whether or not the minority got 20, 50, 70 and so on is immaterial. It's not part of the discussion. The discussion is that there are privileged people who, by their position in society, by their position in political parties, minority, majority, and so on, are getting recruitment into the security services to the disadvantage of perhaps more qualified persons. So it doesn't matter whether the minority had 200 or 2,000 and so on. It's not an issue. And whether or not the interior minister is able to bring proof or not is not an issue. The issue is that this must be aborted quickly. And that we must revert to the times and practices where recruitment into the security services was done on merit.
Simple.
You see, recently, there was a plot to remove the Inspector General of Police. It is still fresh in my mind. And I know that it is still fresh in everybody's mind. Now, I'm sitting here and wondering, where is the report of that committee? Have you seen the report? Have you seen the report of that committee that Parliament established?
All we've seen is that we are the members of Parliament. They will see it before us.
Yeah, but isn't it ridiculous that you have 7 police officers publicly admitting that their allegiance is with the ruling party and that they are ready to help the ruling party win elections? 7 senior officers of the police make these public admissions before a parliamentary committee that me, all my life, my whole family is done Kwabuzia. And there's nothing wrong with proclaiming that. We are 6 months to an election. And the parliamentary committee's report is missing. We can't find it. It's nowhere. Are you not frightened? Are you not frightened? Are you not frightened that we are living in a republic where 7 police officers can actually admit that we're plotting to remove the IGP because he's too independent? If he's there, my party is not likely to win an election. Are you not frightened by that? Are we not worried that that report is still missing? We don't have that report? What is delaying that report? Why is the issue being buried under the carpet? And in fact, my brother, why is the minority telling us about recruitment into the police service? When this committee's report could have helped all of us to put our foot down, could have shed light on some of the happenings in the police service. In the police service. Why? Why are they not forcing? They're in Parliament. Why are they not forcing for the release of that report? And for that issue to be concluded finally. Why are they not? Now, if you are not insisting that that report should be released as quickly as possible for action to be taken, why are you telling us about recruitment into the police service? Why? Why are you wasting our time? So these are very serious matters, and I'm hoping that our discussion today would contribute in small measure. Who are we, the 3 of us here? The only big man around here is Suhini. He is the honorable member of Parliament.
Issue.
The rest of us are ordinary mortals, ordinary citizens. But perhaps if we combine like Captain Planet, we may be able, if we combine our forces like Captain Planet, or is that Captain Planet? Yes, I think so. We may be able to bring about, to create some effect. Because otherwise, all these discussions, they are useless. Come and talk. Oh, nothing happens. But I'm going to make a special appeal. You see, right now, if you there are so many retired, prominent citizens of this country who have served in the security services and who devoted their entire life to building the security services, building security services of integrity. Why are they silent?
Why are they silent?
Why are they silent? Those security chiefs, why are they silent? As it is there. My own friend Kudalo, former Inspector General of Police, is he happy with what is happening in the police service? Why is his mouth sealed? Why is he not able to talk? To tell us what the standards should be and so on. IGP Al-Hassan, where is he? Kofi Buachi, Commissioner of Police Kofi Buachi, where is he? Is he missing? Is he happy with what is happening in the police service? Are they no longer citizens of Ghana? Can they talk? My classmate, General Michu, where is he? General Michu was my classmate in Sakasaka Primary School. Where is he? Why is he silent? Why can't he talk? Why can't he open his mouth? General Blay, CDS, where is he? Can these people tell us the standard which is expected in the security services that they help to build? There's another one. My very good friend from Winneba, what is his name? He became CDS. What is his name? Oh my goodness. General Nunu Mensah, where are you? All of these retired generals and inspector generals of police and security capos and so on, where are they? Can they come together? Can they come together? I'm not saying that they should go and plot a coup. No, that's not what I'm talking about. They should come together and review the situation in the security services and give us answers, point to a direction, and warn us about the dangers inherent in politicizing the security services. Where are all these people? Why are they hiding? Why have they sealed their mouths? I'm embarrassed by their silence. And some of them are great people who contributed tremendously to improve the services that they had. Take somebody like IGP Al-Hassan. The concept of visibility, making the police visible everywhere and so on, he implemented it with gusto. He helped us to reduce the incidence of armed robbery and so on. Why is he quiet and hiding today? Why is he? It is up to them. If this country should sink, we will sink with all of them together.
Sure.
If there's mayhem in this country, they cannot escape. Their children will suffer some.
Oh, of course.
Their wives will suffer some.
Of course.
Their grandchildren will suffer some.
We all day inside.
They should take it as a duty to themselves to help us effect these changes. They should take it as a duty to themselves and to their country to speak out, to point in the right direction. I am disgusted by their silence.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I'll do a few messages from Wasawa. Says this Alan guy should give us some of us separate. What did his boss do with Commander Sugar Factory under his ministry? Absolutely nothing. Koma Sugar King, he couldn't grow for 7 good years.
Today, the Ghana we are in, is that the issue? Is it about what Alan did and didn't do? Is it about what John Mahama did and didn't do? The issue is that this country is sinking. And all of us, in spite of what we may have done or have done in the past, need to unite to rescue this country from further collapse.
Simple.
This is not the time to divide us further. If all of us claim that we want to build a new and prosperous Ghana, let us work together. Whether it is Alan or John Mahama or whatever, this is the time to work together and close ranks to rescue this country. Stop that.
Well, I read some of the comments.
Abusiafo. As I thought that metie nsɛm bi sɛ on na mewura ho. Na mewura ho like na I am say like mabamu yabu. Na I am say ade ebeye yi ni. But obey ne den Ghana for said ye tibia no ɔman no ɔwɔ sɛ yɛgye edisi hɔ. Enti ɛya na mekyekere mewure san sɛ baabi a yɛaduru no ebi na ɛyɛ owura ɛyɛ Kwasi Pratt Junior ne bufu yɛ no because ensɛm no bi wɔ ha odwene ho a wonte aseɛ odwene ho a wonte aseɛ o abusua ya na obisa ho sɛ enti Ghana no a ne yenim those days from 1992 Ghana say obi fi say ebia nyoma nko yi a osori omo organize omo ho ye a fan saying fans demonstrations upon demonstrations to a fan saying let the authorities hear their voice no eni ana like odwene ho a wonte ase obusiafo nye kwaso Ghana ha no odwene ho a wonte ase Young Ghana for anka say disappointed you. Me won say bebreka but dakro like me share that aye ho program ankasa because baby e yadru no e was say ka no credit kire mpanifo bi okrom ha. NDC party no. NDC party no. I don't know how to put it. Senka ne papa mu dia enka kwan na omo nam so no enka ne kwan so ano but I think say NDC for are doing something wrong that we need to tell them. Yes, we need to tell them. We need to let them know. Enra, just enra. Na me ne madam for baako din komo e fen Karim Benzema o baby a me chia baby a obi a me nua Karim me chia pa na meni minua a ye friend Karim Benzema di enkomo bi efa the reason why enyoma bi bone kwasiasem like enyoma bi e koso okrom ha like odwene ho a wonte asese nti adenti na Ghana fo aye din adenti na NDC fo ntumi sheki ho adenti na like the system no to me en check na omanpanyin Akuffo Addo anya ne way through na okwa obi a che say wadane no like wadane ase wakwaye te say che say ohini bi a obi money chance so like you dare not omanpanyin Akuffo Addo ye bone or say your mind no o twiri oman ni gu o tete apansam oman no nso obi asoro so obeka ho asem obi antumi nka ho asem de na ekoso oman ni o de granted in process me fa na say pa say Ghana for na say bio politicians ho afono mo no mo fi say oh politicians they forget you mo say o ye hu say sa no o mo tia enti NDC for so no de na ekoso. Is this the NDC we used to know way back from 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 6, 7, 8? Sa NDC no any. The NDC now omuye demonstrations upon demonstrations they linked up with a fan saying political what do you call it? Some CEOs ne friends saying like other movements to fight against the Akuffo regime no enuni ana sa NDC amanyoku no enuni ana like odwene ho a wonte ase but enu ana me ne minua Benzema edi nkomo no adwen ana me ka kire no say look There is this thing that I think that NDC no or say ubiati ase na you say eno na your biggest problem say NDC amanyuku no wrong. They failed to invest in their own people. They failed to invest in some individuals. Be a mechanic say we there people tank of we there. Ombejiatum say NDC amanyuku no. NDC government ne bie kwan to ho ma me so ne ma beye ebia ni patitiri bi o man mu ma beye big. NDC amanyuku no ya yenim sa ne ye sa anyoma no. That is the biggest problem of the NDC equity NDC ne. So we hear MPP amanyuku na from 2000 bra President Akuffo bae na no na Captain Smart can be concerning President Akuffo planner of fire say obe enrich some Ghanaian individuals be obe pe Ghanaian individuals be no wa that I empower more financially. I will choose nipa be 70 something, including Ibrahim Mahama ya ne ni President Mahama. He was part of the people President Akuffo recruited. Akuffo no mo wo adwuma bi omo ya adwuma no wo prospect adwuma no wo future adwuma no wo like fencing ase animunyam bi wo mu no ye frefre sankrofo ni nyina mampeni Akuffo frefre sankrofo ni nyina try say obe like obe pelu na mo na sa enkrofo no atumi edi sika like odi sika be show madwuma na ama omadwuma na tumi agina brane enti yes ade no 70% of those people became successful. The likes of Tobin Komu, Zoom Lion, Kinafama mo, Ibrahim Mahama mo, Angr, Kwekutemo, like Omodoson, Ajiwa mo, nkofo Omodoson, because me body wo ha enye fa diagro Omodoson, President Akuffo and empower these people. President Akuffo and share that empower omo pay loans, governmental loans, the mom say mon fa hye madwuma na mon fa build mo ho. Enti ebema NPP amanyuku no ebeduru ba bi a saa nkrofo no se okwa aban ne nchen se ebia akopam mo ebia na akop party mpanyifo bi nchen NPP party mpanyifo bi nchen ekopam moa e de abaye ebia bibi kra wo man ni mu a ebetimi adarete so kosa nkrofo we ho ebia kotopin ko ho ebia ko zoom line ho ebia Kwasi masi ho obeboa ho. Enti se MPP for no pebiribi aya omo no enye omo di hu se memfa se demonstration bi mpo na MPP for person omo ye na so mu hia sika to fund that demonstration. They don't suffer. Omo bo omo nsa no pa Tobinko be yibi aba, Angr be yibi aba, Zoom line be yibi aba. Why? Like omo sikafo no Canada Japan mo ombe yibi aba because omo kai say eye omampanyin Akuffo MPP aban ene so masene man ne ba bi omadu no omadu. Enti so omo susu yibi di aboa party no they don't fear. Enti se what stadia MPP amanyuku no se omo wo power abusiati o se MPP amanyuku no e wo power sorry so omo opposition a ubohu se opposition na omo wo no still they are able to fund their events, they are able to sponsor their people. MPP for amanyuku e wo opposition no Obehe no omo sponsor like omo hwe like they are recruiting lawyers. Omo hwe chinkrofo hwe omo law school. ɔmo hwɛ ɔmo akasa manyukuo no young boys ɔmo abɛn nim deɛ wɔ mu ne yɛhwɛ ɔmo wɔ school mu ɔmo tumi select ɛyɛ media fo no ne yɛboa ɔmo like individuals. NDC amanyukuo no ɛte sɛn maybe sa NDC amanyukuo no ɛte sɛn yɛni ɔmo nni bi ɛna me no ka sɛ wohia NDC ni bi a obetumi aka sɛ ɔno na yesikani wɔ Ghana ha ɔno na meka sɛ ɔno so yɛ ka Ghana sikafo obetumi abɔ mu di a Ibrahim Hama na ɔno so krampo no wontumi nka sɛ ɔyɛ NDC ni sɛ nya ne branti a ne branti na ama akɔyɛ sɛ ɔyɛ NDC ni ate ase ne branti ontumi yini brama patanya ne bra ne meki no President Akuffo ene meki no President Akuffo na gi loan ewo merchant bank de ma no enye NDC what you say NDC for dien na ekoso President Mills baye e no try say me hu say onko all try say ono so be start say ono so be empower some NDC for bi samo be kaya eye David Lamptey de da radio XYZ no ho anka ho ye ne dia any NDK said then we refi ni din yi no start say ono so ba be empower sankrofo na fofi anto ata ofiri mu apɛ asan ɛna me no ka say bepam ne NDC amanyukuo no sikani ewum ɛyɛ Ibrahim Hama hwɛ ene make me catch or say NDC campaign na omukọ akoye no President Mills President Mahama ene di ni sika akoye o oni ni nua Ibrahim Mahama omo ene the major sponsors of the 2024 December elections omo ene sponsors enche da ni sponsor papa bia NDC mu etienne we NDC aman efense mabunu na mukohia baabi mo se mo pese mo organize bibi mo pem mo afiri mpanifo bi nchen mo kɔ ha we se menimu a mo kɔ ha we se menimu a mo be fa ha we se obi ani ho be ma osika o even NDC aman you go dan kasa party na nkasa enunti na sa demonstrations ne sa nyoma nyo omuntimi nkobi no because why na disika na ba me aye why na disika na ba why na to ni bottom sika why kwa na be free boys bi say hey monko ye metua moka mema musika mama koye where are those people? MPP party no can do that. They can just talk to some of their rich men Charlie ye hian crofo ye person mo ye editia o mampanyini Akuffo Mahama o mo nye co demonstration mo sponsor o mo mai hey pak o mo disika beba ama ade na is successful. Ma hu ye dum so vigil o mo te say Ivonnes mo tweet o Facebook ni Twitter ba e no mo ko hyase no mo tuatua sika no mo organize yo ba ne ye yi ene amanfo aka doom must stop ye call demonstration after now bisa almost say boys microphone no mo ye man some person call demonstration me no ka say bisa say o matumi akwa na o ntumi nkoye bisa say o manya funding anaso munya funding bisa face the country time on we face the county demonstrations to Krumhan. Okay, teach you free farm. What marvel a friend saying, what marvel me refini ne other thing, you know. Nako bisa say, or more funding, did they get somebody to fund them? They were soliciting for funds. So no munya. They were soliciting for funds. Why need this caneba? And this ningrophobia. It's careful no himfa. And this as a party hasn't built or enriched their people. And the amade biano no omonsa egu omachi. Abusanfo. Na me kan kosi nyina na say NDC amanyuku no. sabi omunsua nyansa bi enye de bia na be yesi o enye sa de bia moko opposition o ye de de ya mako na be komani o de bia de mako na be komani mo ba dwene ho amonte ase ye de surisa na be hye sabi sabi true because there was some more yendi empower mo nkrofo no mo nye na mo jaja musa mo ba mo na munim no kre mo na munim amanyosem mo na munim mra mo na mo ye rule of law mo de mra ye adwuma na mo de sa hwe enkwasi asama ekoso okruma sisi a nyoma ekoso okruma MPP for and a year recruitment from 2017 till now. Omuna di MPP for a recruit omodi come immigration, police, military, customs, fire service. Omwana di omonkro for ko. NDC na waso wa ka obeti. Uye NDC ye mfiu kra. Enso obi a no ton phones onko SHS krada ya fa in national security. Oye cheso all boy juma ama man no all because of MPP ni NDC there be a baby self certificate a baby self certificate yan twin sana party na kwaye obia biara e chese di bia no obia kana no atum ene ye de nam yeni mraso Ghana NDC yendi mraso samuba kaya in 2010 home baby ena 2010 World Cup ena Joseph Yamin honorable Joseph Yamin sa tam no deputy sports minister ena okobie na no kan say look almost so NDC amanyoku no almost be make sure say omodi omososo beko akohwe World Cup ni bi ko omosusi enipa MPP for ye bi 2006 sa MPP for pe ene di omko ye kan no omoso omfa ye mfa yaso this time omoso be sa NDC for pe di akọ President Mills Dwalai may so rest in peace I mean shira na baby o bia me mentor no President Mills said there be ye nkasa sa enti ye demoti no from the deputy ministerial appointment Edneko Ashanti region Nadmo because of that statement no because NDC amanyokun pese ye say ye de ye mfa mra na nya adwuma eye ne kwan so anu no eye ne kwan so anu ba nya me kira na say abusuafo empower your people, empower them, enrich them, let them get to the top, let them get to an area almost like they will be able to give a helping hand to others. Do that for your own people. Even if they are not your own people, just get some people and recruit them so that the people will understand that this government, this party, we buy no more me a man never be do level madri. Send a beer a chinebi on crop for common chain for moi, they will gladly give them. I will say for Mumma be you and this for somewhere a year. Kwasi Pratt canino. I be an ebum to the any bit me akoso sadie. The NDC from penny for I don't they know this. But ni na say NDC amanuku no omu needs financiers. Yes. Omu need financiers. It be because of my muha yentimi organize it. They can't organize people to get up, to wake up. Sankrofo be youth will be crumpo sorry. No me yes the youth would need money, they would need help. Sabi ajia no mbe no, ombeto to ebia nnuane, ombeto nsuo, ombeto placards near one day they will go out there organizing people, they will be going for interviews, seeking for a friend saying a radio airplay, TV airplay near one day where would they get that money to do those things? entinka nkrofo sa sorry ya nanka NDC amanyoku no mpanyifo bi wo monkomu wo wiska ba na ma from yes ye ni ginia mo ye mombra ye be boa mo mombra mo be kire mo ideas okay eso ye pese ye di sa input we shim mo ko amunye ni sei munye ni sei e be mo ska ni ba mo fa na mo koye ye tamati na ayefe so NDC nya na sa but MPP even when they are in opposition they do that because there are people who are ready to spend for them. They are ready to spend and make sure that the MPP comes to power. There are people who are ready. Besides, and the NDC who are the rich men who are ready to give money. So may yiska the abuasi and fanny or monfanya juma ma party power. Be me. Escafuni in Ira. Escafuni in Ira. Escafona ankasa onye so ma Ira mo he woni bi. What you say? Enye sabio former MPB, former minister bi ono no sabe. Ono be na juma kakra sika kakra onya wanwia. Nya kakra na onya ya ono no e de abie ni company kakra bi o de hwe ne yire ne ma ofie. Afa na workers kakra bi no ono na mfa ne sika mra se o de be hye amanyuku no. Dabi osuro on fa sika na me sa. Osuro. What you say? Osuro. But because the MPP amanyuku no funding microphone be nya skanti no. Say Zoom lion o kono oyi ebia 200,000 300,000 mam sa monje fan koye organization ya. Enye scam no. So binko 300,000. Enye scam no. What you say? Kwakutin 300,000. Enye scam no. Kennedy Japan. Enye scam no. Chirame NDC amanyuku no MP o ska chance Kennedy Japan. Chirame NDC amanyuku no MP o sika e de chance Brian Champon. NDC amanyuku no chirame NDC amanyuku MPB a wo mu a sabe obetumi di nisika atoto sankrofo amebebo omudin. They are also MPs so Brian Champon a year first saying Kennedy Japan mo omunya mo ye MPs. What you say? But chirame ene MPP amanyuku no omumu hwan na owo sika chance ame awuku. Omumu hwan ene owo sika sen na bi. Omumu hwan ene owo sika sebe e chen e fen sen ayi chama untumi hwan they are not there. So chama untumi na MPP for na make you NDC ye nibi omo hen omo ye nibi apart from President Mahama hwan bi kire me mobo abusianfo ntino NDC no sometime mo men tro mase na ye nsro mo se so munya akwanya na mo ba power omo hwehwe na mo ma akwanya na mo so entumi enrikutu omo nkrofo. They should empower their people, both finance, like in the business world, in the media realm, like the media side, wherever. They should build their own. Yes, build your own. PENDREAM TV too hey, sabi. Menemo kase ye hia office e de ye adwuma office. Ye hia studio, ye pia se be studio setup, original studio setup, office and kasampo, ye hia ba bi dia office up to now. Ye chinchia. Ukwa sika e be bo no. Ukwa fa sika no wahin abusiafo. Sika no ukwa fa no wahin. Office keke ye pe ba bi dia office. Up to now. Ye nyabi. Because can you and so senka MPP no opposition and anka ye sa adwuma son yi dia ma MPP amanyuku na nka by now obi kura betimi afre from abrochire me wodan bi wo ha patron pese me de mam free wo de mo nkɔhye monye madwuma. Yes, me so me de support monye madwuma. MPP for na nkasa na be frɛ wo mo nkasa na be frɛ mo problem ne sen dia na mo hwehwɛ dia na mpase ye so ye mam na mo so adwuma na mo ye mo ntomo na mo so monye ma yi. They will be calling people, they will be calling their people and look for that solution for you. Mr. Mahum be that. And just say, I'm not. What you say? Mahum be that. But the NDC, who will do it? A fra crying, fra testing, crying, testing. NDC, how many go? Oh, well, that didn't uncle. Be but I was here, ma omutie. Aha, a PENDREAM TV. Make also subscribe to the channel. Now, who are doing Chiribia, or they have to comment section. As in part, like video, no, a mine, no like here, a boama video, no, a quote a chiri ye. Nama stress a vision for your social media platforms, so Facebook, a PENDREAM TV Ghana, and Twitter. Instagram and TikTok ni na PENDREAM TV with me a follow you no na ye to me Eddie we are Ghana han nyoma ekoso nyina no Eddie Abreu
Mane wana sema PENDREAM TV PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo